It was supposed to be a night filled with laughter, anecdotes, and light-hearted banter. The red sofa of the Graham Norton show had hosted countless legends over the years, but on that particular Friday evening, the mood shifted from charming to chaotic when Sir Michael Caine, one of Britain's most beloved actors, lost his composure in front of millions of viewers. The episode began innocently enough. Graham, with his usual cheeky humor, welcomed his guests, Michael Caine, actress Emma Thompson, and pop sensation Harry Styles. The audience cheered, the music played, and the atmosphere was electric. Michael, dressed impeccably in his classic navy suit and polished shoes, greeted everyone with a warm smile. He looked every inch the British gentleman he'd always been. For the first 20 minutes, everything went smoothly. They discussed Caine's upcoming memoir, his reflections on a career spanning over 6 decades, and his charming stories about filming classics like The Italian Job and The Dark Knight. The audience laughed and applauded as he delivered his signature line, "You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off." But the tone changed when Graham brought up a recent comment Michael had made in a newspaper interview about modern acting being too lazy. "Now Michael," Graham began with a mischievous grin, "you've said some rather strong things about younger actors not putting in enough effort these days. Care to elaborate on that?" The audience chuckled, expecting another one of Caine's witty retorts. But Michael's expression tightened. "Well, Graham," he said, his voice calm but firm, "what I meant was that there's a difference between genuine craft and just pretending. Too many young actors today rely on green screens and shortcuts. In my day, we actually lived the role." Emma Thompson smiled awkwardly, trying to ease the tension. "Oh come on, Michael, it's not that bad," she said lightly. "Every generation has its own methods." But Graham, sensing an opportunity for a headline moment, pressed further. "So, are you saying actors like Tom Holland or Florence Pugh aren't real actors?" The question hung in the air like a sharp blade. Michael turned to him slowly. "I didn't say that, Graham. But if you want to twist my words for a laugh, go ahead." The audience gasped softly. Graham chuckled nervously, realizing he may have gone too far, but instead of backing off, he added fuel to the fire. "Oh, come on, Sir Michael, you've never been shy about speaking your mind. Surely, a little debate won't hurt." Michael leaned forward. "A debate's fine, Graham, but this feels like a setup." Emma placed a gentle hand on his arm, whispering, "Michael, it's okay." But he shook his head. "No, it's not okay. I came here to talk about my work, not to be mocked." Harry Styles, sitting on the far end of the sofa, looked visibly uncomfortable. "Mate, I think he's just teasing." Michael interrupted sharply, "I'm not your mate, young man. And I've been doing this long before you were even born." The room fell silent. Graham tried to diffuse the tension with humor. "Well, that's one way to tell me off," he said, forcing a laugh. But it didn't land. Michael stood up. "You know what, Graham? I've done hundreds of interviews in my life. But this is beneath me." Graham's smile faltered. "Michael, please, don't be like that. We're just having fun here." Michael turned toward the audience, his voice resonant and steady. "There's a difference between fun and disrespect. I've given my whole life to this craft, and I won't have it turned into a punchline." With that, he removed his microphone and handed it to a stagehand. The audience erupted into uneasy murmurs as cameras continued rolling. Graham, visibly flustered, tried to maintain composure. "Well, I guess Sir Michael has left the building," he said, attempting to turn it into a joke, but no one laughed. Emma Thompson sat frozen, unsure whether to follow or stay seated. Harry Styles looked down, awkwardly sipping his water. The silence was deafening. Backstage, Michael was seen pacing angrily, muttering under his breath. 60 years of film, and I walk off a talk show because of some cheap laugh, he said to a producer who tried to calm him down. Meanwhile, social media exploded. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation were trending on X, formerly Twitter, under the hashtag Caine vs Norton. Some fans sided with Graham, saying Michael had overreacted. Others defended the veteran actor, calling him a legend who deserved respect. BBC producers were thrown into chaos, unsure whether to air the full scene or edit it out. But it was too late. Audience members who had been at the live taping had already leaked the details online. Later that evening, paparazzi photos showed Michael leaving the studio, still visibly angry, refusing to answer questions. When a reporter asked if he'd ever return to Graham's show, he simply said, "Not in this lifetime." Graham, on the other hand, addressed the incident at the end of the episode with an uneasy smile. "We love Michael Caine, truly. Sometimes, even legends have their off nights." But behind that smile, sources said, Graham was deeply shaken. He'd never had a guest storm off like that before, and certainly not someone as iconic as Michael Caine. The following morning, the entertainment world woke up to chaos. Every major headline carried the same shocking story. Michael Caine walks off live TV after argument with Graham Norton. Clips of the confrontation were everywhere, on X, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. The short, tense exchange had been replayed millions of times within hours. Fans were divided, the internet ablaze with opinions. Some accused Graham of humiliating a legend, while others called Michael too sensitive for a harmless joke. At his London home, Sir Michael sat by the window, sipping tea and staring at the newspapers laid out before him. His longtime wife, Shakira, looked at him with quiet concern. "You shouldn't have let him get to you, darling," she said softly. "He's just doing his job." Michael sighed deeply. "I know. But I've spent my whole life building a reputation on respect. I won't have it torn down for a laugh." A knock came at the door. His manager, George, entered with a worried look. "Michael, BBC wants to issue a statement. They're saying it was a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Michael snapped. "He mocked me in front of the world. That's not a misunderstanding, it's a lack of class." Meanwhile, over at BBC headquarters, Graham Norton sat in a meeting with producers and publicists. His usual confident smile was gone. "I didn't mean to insult him," he said, rubbing his temples. "It was supposed to be playful banter. He's been on the show before, he knows my style." One of the producers, a stern-looking woman named Claire, spoke firmly. "Playful or not, Graham, he's Sir Michael Caine. The audience adores him. We can't afford this PR disaster." The decision was made. The BBC would release an edited version of the episode, trimming out the most heated part of the argument. But by then, the damage was already done. By afternoon, Michael's name was trending again, this time after an unexpected development. He had agreed to give an exclusive interview to The Guardian to set the record straight. Sitting across from the journalist, Michael's tone was calm but serious. "I've always respected Graham," he began. "But there's a line between humor and humiliation. I'm 92 years old, and I still take my craft seriously. I won't apologize for standing up for myself." The interview went viral instantly. Fans flooded social media with support, calling him a national treasure, and demanding an apology from the show. One tweet read, "Sir Michael Caine earned his respect long before talk shows existed." Graham crossed the line. By evening, Graham finally broke his silence. On his official account, he posted a brief statement. "Greater than, Sir Michael Caine is one of the greats, and I have nothing but admiration for him. If my humor came across as disrespectful, I sincerely apologize. It was short, polite, and professional, but to many, it sounded too rehearsed." That same night, the One Show invited media commentator Jane Lowe to discuss the scandal. "This isn't just about one argument," she said. "It's about generational respect. Michael Caine represents old-school professionalism, something modern TV often forgets." Back in his study, Michael watched the segment quietly. He didn't smile, but his expression softened. "At least someone gets it," he muttered. Then his phone buzzed. It was a text from Emma Thompson. "Greater than, you handled it like a gentleman, Michael. Proud of you. Maybe next time, let's do an interview together and keep Graham in check." Michael chuckled for the first time that day. "Now that's an idea," he said. 2 days later, BBC executives reached out again, this time, with a surprising offer. They wanted to invite Michael back to the show for a follow-up appearance to clear the air. The episode would be marketed as a special reunion. George hesitated. "Do you want to do it, Michael?" Michael leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. "Only if it's on my terms," he said. "I'll go, but not as a guest they can laugh at. I'll go as Michael Caine, the man who's earned every wrinkle and every word." When the next Friday came, the studio audience buzzed with anticipation. The red sofa was set, and Graham Norton walked on stage with his usual charm, but this time, his eyes betrayed a touch of nervousness. "Ladies and gentlemen, He began, "Please welcome back a true legend, Sir Michael Caine." The crowd erupted in applause as Michael walked out, calm and collected, smiling faintly. He shook Graham's hand firmly. "Good to see you again," Graham said. Michael replied with a small grin. "Let's hope it stays that way this time." The audience laughed, this time genuinely. The tension had lifted. What followed was a surprisingly heartfelt exchange. Graham apologized properly on air, and Michael accepted with grace. They spoke about respect, age, and humor, and by the end of the show, both men were smiling. As the cameras faded out, Graham turned to Michael and said quietly, "You know, you might have just taught us all a lesson." Michael patted his shoulder. "Good. It's never too late to learn, Graham." The clip of their reconciliation went viral the next day, captioned, "The legend returns with grace." And though the internet never forgets, that night, Michael Caine reminded everyone why he'd endured for decades. Not just as an actor, but as a man of principle, dignity, and heart.